So Stephen, obviously, to have such a big tournament ranking wise early in the season, it's a potential real marker. Well, not just a marker, a sort of a season changer for a couple of players that are maybe on the fringes of the top bracket at the moment. Shaun Murphy, someone we talk about, for example, who's, it could have a huge impact on where he is.
Well, yeah, he's going to lose a shed load of points come the end of the season. So I think he's ranked as provisional rankings around about the sort of mid-20s at the moment.
Yeah.
So he needs a good start to the season because it takes the pressure off. If for example this one in Saudi say goes out early, then you're sort of like, as I say, you're putting pressure on yourself for the next one. Okay, I want to get a good run in this one to get my rank, and then it just builds and builds and builds. The last thing Shaun wants come mid-season is still to be provisionally outside the 16.
For sure.
And
having to qualify.
So because let's be honest, Shaun Murphy is one of the best players in the world. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's 100% top 8. Possibly top 4, but there's obviously other players that could be in there as well.
And we don't say that lightly because
player.
He's been rude about our dress sense before on this podcast. We've had our battles with Murphy, but he's a very, very good player.
I mean,
he's got a so-called podcast as well, hasn't he? As well, so
yes,
we've got to be nice. Nice to
yeah, even though he takes a dim view of you broadcasting, as we know.
Yeah, his beady eyes are all over me all the time. I've got to be on the ball when Shaun's watching. But important early start to the season for Shaun.
I think going back to what we were saying about the conditions, and having to kind of like bang the ball. Murphy's got one of them strong strikes, and I think he can adapt to conditions very well. So maybe these Chinese and Far Middle East tournaments might suit him, and if he can obviously get on a strong run, then he's obviously in contention. He always is in my eyes.
Yeah, he had a good start in Shanghai as well. Obviously, got to the final and played very well there. So he will be full of confidence. And Shaun is very much. I mean, everyone needs confidence to play, but Shaun Murphy is a confidence player. He gets that stomp, that walk around the table when he's playing well, and he becomes very difficult to beat.
Actually, I can imagine his...
Oh, he does. He's got that arrogance around the table that you need. Selby's another one actually, down to 14. Incredible.
Yeah, hard to imagine Selby not in the top 8, but his provisional ranking, he'd only just be in the 16, which is mad, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Selby, you think he's in the top 3. I mean, you think of Sullivan, Trump, Selby. That's where you think the 3 best players in the world are for me.
Yep.
But he's 14. So again, he spoke at the end of last season about desire and does he want to do this? And there was lots of negative stuff coming out. So is he going to turn that around? Does he feel better about himself this season? Who knows?
I just think that sometimes players can say that, can't they? Yeah. Even post-match, post-season, post-Worlds, everyone's kind of gunning for that big trophy at the end of the year. And I think if you start saying, I'm going to retire and I'm packing it, I'm not enjoying it, takes the shackles off, maybe a little bit of less expectation. And I think Selby's game kind of suits being able to crawl back to the top, if you get me. He's willing to dig deep. People kind of go, oh, well, I'm still earning a good living. I'm in the 16, but he's like, no, I want to be number 1 again. And, he'll still be a force to be reckoned with, I'd say.
It's almost a running joke how many players have said they're gonna quit at some point. Even in the time we've been in this podcast, we've discussed almost everyone saying it's understandable if you've had a bad game, especially at the Worlds, I guess. Or I can see what you mean as well, Allan. Once you've said, oh, maybe this isn't for me anymore, then you're sort of playing with no pressure for a bit, I suppose. But we don't take it seriously. No one ever leaves.
It's in your blood, yeah.
Yeah, we've had people on that fallen off the tour for years at a time, and they still, you can't. Well, actually, to be fair, Stephen has quit, but we don't even really believe that.
I've become a serial quitter now.
You've retired multiple times from the game.
I was going to ask Allan, is there anyone sort of down the rankings that you obviously you've seen all these players play, and obviously there's loads of talented players that maybe the general public don't know about. Someone that might take that step this season and move up the rankings.
I think there's 1 or 2. I think I've got a couple in my fantasy 5 there. One of them is Aaron Hill. I just think his mentality of the game, he's only 21, 22 maybe. He's still got the youth on his side. He's got that aggressive kind of, he's almost like a boxer's mentality of, I am going to do this and, I'm willing to kind of work hard. I know he's working with Fergal O'Brien at the minute, so, that's only going to benefit his game. I think he started the season, his second season on tour of his tour card, inside the 64. So obviously he'll be looking to push up. You look back to last week's podcast that we mentioned Artemis Zizins. I actually played him in the British. Thought I seen him in Q School. I was actually on the next table. I was playing Chris Totten and he was playing, I think it was Caden Brealey or someone like that. And we were kind of in between frames. And I heard the referee calling out. I think he was on a 50 or a 60 break. And I looked, I don't normally, but I've glanced over at the scoreboard and he was on 3 frames. And I thought, oh, he's in to win here. How's he going to deal with it? And I just watched his face as he was walking around the table. And he's potted like match ball and he's kind of pumped up, but he bottled it well. In his, I don't mean bottled the game. He kept hold of his emotions, as I say.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've obviously not had much insight into this kind of, we mentioned it before, this wave of very young Eastern European players. Normally when I ask Stephen, he's not seen them yet. But it's interesting.
I actually haven't watched Aaron Hill yet, so hopefully Shaun isn't watching this because he'll be crucifying me again.
Not just him, mate. We get it every time. But yeah, I've heard it said about Zizins and about a couple of the others, like what's the Hungarian lad's name? Yeah, there is this kind of, they're not emotionless, but there's a kind of fearlessness that comes with being that young and maybe not having expectations.
I mean, hello, emotionless, miserableness. If he's got that, he's going to the top.
Yeah. Are we finally seeing the next generation of non-human monsters like Hendry?
He'll be on the podcast in 3 decades. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, talking about how the current crop of players haven't got the temperament for it because they're all friends.
No, but what Allan was saying, I like to hear that. Someone who's just completely like in the zone and keep focused. That's as we know, talent is great, but you need more than just talent to get up the rankings and win.
I was 3-1 down to the lad in the British. Ended up coming back and winning 4-3. And got to the decider. He's gone to the toilet, come back, he shook my hand, and his face did not move. It was just deadpan. And I was like, I like this, and I've kind of got to use experience. I know he was like a swan, elegant on the top, but hopefully flapping underneath. But I played okay in that last frame, so I got over the line. But I wished him well, and I think he's one to look out for. There's probably one or two. Obviously, so you got Martin O'Donnell, who got to the final of the Welsh. He'll probably be looking to kick on. And there's a few players around that rankings who are hovering below the 32 that are, you've got to look at Jak Jones getting to the final of the Worlds. Well, you've got to keep an eye on him and see, can he kind of keep up with the Saudi tournament being seeded, there's a good chance that he can, how he deals with it, I suppose.
Yeah. That's how he deals with being the target now, being the favourite rather than the underdog. Because obviously the whole thing about World Championship, no one every match he was the underdog. So